Well, if you wonder where Putin the cat is, he's hanging up here on a shelf, so that's why he didn't have a little video introduction now this time. Start out this video with something, another concept, because we talked about bubbles, and I'm talking about the stock market being a bubble, Bitcoin's being a bubble, but who the hell knows how much more the bubble can go? They talked about the real estate market being a bubble for a couple of years before it imploded, right? But it's classic theory. In classic theory, a lot of times, classic theory is like, the whole deal. Like, they always say it's different this time. Well, it's different about this, and there's nothing different, man. It's the same old kind of garbage that happens time and time again. But one thing about silver and gold, and palladium and platinum, they ain't no bubble. They're not a bubble, not at all. And actually, looking at some of the best charts in the world for stocks that are overpriced, the PE ratio and all that type of stuff. The United States and Switzerland, and actually the United States has the most overpriced stocks in the world. That's taken into, the whole picture, right? But one area in the stock market, equities markets, that's way underpriced actually right now compared to the price of the commodity is the mining stocks in silver and gold. They're way depressed, and it's obvious. I mean, they went down. Sometimes they went down 10 times or more. Depends on who it is. But they can go up 10 times. So silver and gold is not a bubble right now. There's also a lot of predictions out there. And it's not coming from... And I'm not... I don't look at those people too much that are the gold and silver analysts. All those type of people that are always pumping stuff. Like there's Mike Maloney. Mike Maloney's alright. David Morgan's okay. And you got James Turk, man. That guy's really pumping stuff. Big's weird. He's out there. That's my opinion on it anyway. But they got people out there that, I'm talking a lot about silver. But the thing is, I am getting my information more from the major media. I'm not repeating or regurgitating what those guys say. That's the difference. And, when I say the major media, I'm talking about the true financial sources. Okay, that's a little bit different. And, it's not like I'm cherry picking things to say, But because you've been hearing a doom and gloom about the crash of the markets coming up pretty soon. Now, I think that's correct because it's actually the 6 Hindenburg omens, George Soros' bet. But there's also some other analysts out there even talking about the similarities between now and the 1929 preceding the 1929 stock market crash. They're expecting a 40 to 50% correction. Other people are expecting a 15% correction and staying flat for a real long period of time and just staying flat, not doing nothing. So, and just looking at other analysis out there, the U.S. stock market is the most overpriced. It's always like, what are you paying for what you're getting? It's almost like if you're buying an item, is it really discounted? It's not like it's, the premier item it has to be. It doesn't have to be the premier item, the premier company, the premier stock. It's that, is it heavily discounted? Is it a great value for the money? And right now, the only area in the U.S. stock market that is way depressed is the mining sector. And that's due to the suppression of the metals and the prices. Now, I know you could say it's a little bit of a conspiracy, and I think it is a conspiracy because, I talked about, and I'm going to link it up with another video I did about oil spot market price suppression. And it's all linked into commodities all across the board. All linked into it. And it's like there's lawsuits going on coming up from people that, one was a former manager or director of the New York Mercantile Exchange and everything like that. Says it's been going on for 10 years. It's probably going on for more than that. So, actually, in the financial world, a lot of people know the spot price is bullshit. A lot of people know that. If they've been around, they know it's kind of like something fishy with it. They do know that. But the thing is, it's so severely depressed right now in the metals, and people are scared of it because they think it's even going to go lower. But it's almost like they're brave when it's high up and it went up, and they can see a curve that went up. They're not fearful then, They're like, oh yeah, add more. Like right now, Bitcoins, even though maybe it can go to 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 a coin, I don't really know. I mean, as fast of exponential growth that it had recently, common sense would tell you, man, it could probably sink like a stone. But there's other people out there pumping other things and saying, "Oh yeah," but now I look at silver. It's took a big hit. Gold took a big hit. Everything's took a big hit for the last couple of years. It's been laying flat a long time. The mines aren't making money. So is it a bubble? No, no way in hell. No way in hell. And I do want to link something because, a lot of people are kind of losing. I actually put a lot of these videos out because, first off, this has been my, actually construction accounting, but it wasn't like just construction accounting. It wasn't like I was more like, the right-hand man of the guy, you know what I mean? That was like, and I've worked in some pretty high-end places, actually, to tell you the truth, okay? So I actually worked with people that had lots and lots of money, too. And, some of the stuff that you hear coming off at the internet for advice, the reason it's, I don't want to knock YouTube, but, most people that have a lot of money won't go to YouTube for financial advice or look for anything on here at all, period. I mean, actually, if you look in New York, New Jersey area, the big popular publication is the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, things like that. And actually, I read a lot of those different, I read that and other things. I read as many different things as I can. But I just try to boil it down to the common sense, nuts and bolts. It's going to take a while, but when silver takes off, it's going to take off maybe like this Bitcoins. And, my fear is that I'm going to sell too early. So I probably do a little bit in steps, But, next steps will be probably smart too. But it's way too cheap right now. It's not a bubble. So, like, if I expect the markets get clobbered, I don't think silver, if the markets lose half their value, I don't think silver's going to lose half its value. That's the thing. I don't think so because it's already depressed. You see, the companies that are mining are losing money for the most part. The other places in the markets, in the equities, they're making record earnings. That's the difference. So they're not going to all move in unison. Now, what kind of moves in unison is the commodities in general, kind of. Like I said, they don't exactly do it, but, I've always said this many times, and I'll repeat it again. If there's a conflict in the Middle East, and it's a major conflict, and there's like Saudi oil gets disrupted and everything, and I know we're not totally dependent upon Saudi oil, but it's part of the global thing, and they're actually trying to make U.S. oil, like it's been illegal to export U.S. oil since the embargo they had back in the 70s. But they're trying to make it legal again to export U.S. oil. It's, if the Saudi oil gets cut off, maybe the United States don't use it, but the global supply is going to be tight. And you remember, if you remember, like, I know Mark Rich is dead now, the guy that was back in the oil embargo. I shouldn't laugh about this, but, if there's, even if it's illegal for the United States to export oil at that time, the price is going to go way the hell up on crude oil if there's a conflict in the Middle East between, between, say, Israel and the United States and, whatever, Syria or it's Iran. Saudi oil is going to interrupt it. The price of oil is going to go way up. And actually, there's going to be exports coming out of the United States. Because the same principle holds. I call it the Mark Rich principle because then Mark Rich got Iranian oil in here when we needed it too. I mean, when there's a market, there's going to be a way to get it in there. You know what I mean? Even though he got forgiven by Bill Clinton, if you know who Mark Rich is. Anyway, I'm probably saying things that are going over some people's heads or some crap. But the one thing is that you just have to remember, it's almost like that Mark Farber thinking a little bit. I mean, he's not perfect, but it's almost like you got to think the opposite. You think of the fundamentals. Also, like the Sam Zell, the principles of investing or whatever with Sam Zell. I'm going to link that video again. Because, it's not even so much that, Sam Zell's, he has the Chicago Tribune. Like, I know about him because this guy I know used to work with him. He used to work with Sam Zell before he was a billionaire. Now that guy, he's retired. He's an accountant I work with, too. But they're very, very, very solid age-old principles, so I want to put some of that stuff out here. But so I'm going to actually show a couple links on below this video about the spot market rigging in oil predominantly, and I know some people already saw that, but if you haven't, actually go into a lot of other stuff, man. If you want to hear some crazy conspiracy shit, that's probably legit. And also that Sam Zell video, because I think that Sam Zell, you wonder why people freaking make money. It's he's telling you why. He's telling you why. You gotta have a little patience too, and you can't get lopsided in one area. Now I'm gonna tell you something else. This stuff with silver and gold. It's like oh, we got the banksters on the run. That's part of the, the silver cartel, silver pumpers motto. Get the banksters on the run. I ain't trying to get the banksters on the run. Actually, the rich are getting more and more fearful in the United States. They are. They're actually, the billionaires and the multi-millionaires are getting more worried about the disparity of wealth. They don't like it. Even Mark Farber commented on this. And the thing is, the United States ain't like Russia. Russia, they run the whole deal, and they just run it, and if anybody has a problem, they get rid of them, you know what I mean? Or they do something to them, right? The United States, we got the House of Representatives within the Congress. We can actually put a lot of laws into effect that fix things. If we think we're getting the smaller, regular people that don't have the bucks feel like they're getting screwed over, and the wealthy notice. Now, I'm not anti-elite. I'm not anti-U.S., okay? And, I'll tell you one thing. There was some of this stuff going on that sounds like James Bond stuff that was working with the Russians. I don't want to talk too much about it. I kind of alluded on to some of these other videos, but I'm going to say something because I will work for the USA, and it don't mean I'm getting something out of it, as long as it's helping out my country. Because I recommended to this one Russian guy that's in the United States that has all these contacts. I told him to go to these people in New York and his family up in New York. It was a very powerful family. They're not Italian. They're Jewish. And I'm pretty sure he hooked up with the guy because I could see the resume and the direction of this guy has changed from what he had before. And it's right in that market niche that I was talking about. So if all these wheeling and dealing is going on behind Putin's back, it's helping out the good old USA. Because Putin is screwing over the Russian people anyway, and the thing is, I'll make sure that the USA gets hooked up first. I can't talk about it though. But the thing is, I don't even care if I get a dime out of it. That's the point. You see what I mean? I'll make sure that the right connections get made. If I know something that can help out the United States, or I'll do something, and I won't even ask for the money for it or nothing. Because if I know it helps the United States out, and even if it's helping out the elite in the United States, and they're Americans that live here and they spend money here, they invest money here, they invest in capital assets, they spur on business here, I'll make sure they get helped out too. So unlike the rest of the silver and gold crowd out here that's saying, oh, the Illuminati and the Western banksters and all this shit, oh, bullshit. I ain't against them. That's all there is to it. I ain't against them. Don't be fearful of silver now because it's not a bubble. It's not a bubble. Looking at classic, the bounces where the resistance were and all the graphs and stuff, that 18-something was a hell of a lot of strong resistance. But I don't like going by that too much. The thing is, already at this 21, 22 level, the mines have been losing money, most of them. And it's the only sector in the equities that's losing a lot of money, right? So was that a bubble? No, not at all. Not at all. So, and the other thing is, the biggest problem I think with silver is going to be when it goes up, because it's probably going to go up like nuts, like this Bitcoin stuff. It's probably going to have like this bubble mania stuff, like Gorbachev dolls or something. I mean, not the same thing, but why would somebody pay so much money for something? Even though it's essential, it gets overpriced, right? And that's why bubbles don't last too long, because they'll be eventually there'll be demand destruction. But the thing is, I think my biggest problem is going to be in the future is to when exactly to sell. When the hell is going to be the height? Because, I think $100 silver is a lot. $200 silver is a real lot. It may easily go to 400 or 500 or 1,000 at one point in the bubble mania, and I don't know. Just looking at these bitcoins, I'm taking a lesson from this because it tells you a little bit about who the hell knows where a bubble can go in a financial crisis. If the equities are looking bad, the bond market's looking bad, the U.S. government defaults on the debt, where can silver go? It may go way the hell above where the hell it should be. And if you got silver, that's going to be pretty good. But, just remember, don't be anti-USA and, down on the USA and shit. Because if there's problems here, we still got this elected House of Representatives. Everybody knocks these guys like, they're taking too many perks, they're no good, they don't work this many hours and shit. We elect them every 2 years, damn it. So if there's a problem with it, it's the people got to look at themselves. Maybe not my audience, but you know what I mean. It's kind of going around in the United States. Everybody's lethargic, and they're being fed, they're being kept in the dark like a mushroom, and they're telling you, oh yeah, they ignore that problem where they could fix it. They could fix it pretty easy. So, anyway, just don't worry about silver. It ain't in a bubble right now. It ain't, So watch those detractors, because I'm not a silver pumper, and I'm actually going to thank the silver pumpers later if I get lucky and sell silver at some crazy price. Because I don't know if I'm going to do too many silver videos later when the prices get too high, because I'll be telling people the truth and I don't want to suppress the price unless I already sold it. You know what I mean? That might be something to think about. Anyway, over and out.